I'm sure by now a lot of people have seen the page of the Superman story where he basically is taken into prison for 8 or 9 months, and it's implied that he's raped. He's tortured, held down, and then penetrated with some objects. Now, this is essentially almost a pretty direct emasculation of the character of Superman, who is meant to be almost a symbolic hero who is the definition of kind of the person we aspire to be, the men we would aspire to be. And I gotta wonder when DC Comics is producing this and making this book, who are they marketing this to? Who do they think is interested in this? And I'm very curious. And this is kind of one of those things where creative freedom meets marketing practicality, right? And if we were, let's say, running a company and we knew that there was a certain type of customer who was pretty loyal and wanted our products done in a certain way, our services done in a certain way, we want to make sure that we're doing our best to kind of deliver that, right? That's a business. Now, the argument is that, well, comic books are not necessarily a business in the traditional sense, and that what matters is actually the freedom to do what an artist wants to do. I disagree with that. I think at the end of the day, that's true to a point, but let's face it, we're telling stories so that readers are going to be satisfied, right? And if a majority of the readers who read superhero stories, comic book stories, Superman, have certain expectations, they need to be met. And I'm seeing this over and over again where I don't know if maybe these companies are looking at social media, looking at Twitter, Facebook, and things like that, and seeing an outspoken minority talk about, some really out of the box concepts and ideas, and if they're trying to serve them. But this is not the audience that we're looking at marketing to, right? They don't buy comics. That's just the pure and simple fact. Instead, let's focus on what I would say our market right now is you probably have some pretty long-standing readers. I don't think there's a lot of new readers coming in to stories. I just don't see it. Maybe whenever there's a big movie that comes out, we get people. You may have the occasional returning reader. But that begs the question, is somebody who used to read comics 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if they see a story like this, is it more or less likely that it's going to encourage them to come back and read these books, right? I don't know who they're trying to make this appealing to. There's another story you might have seen where the character Vixen is portrayed as sitting in the back of a limo, and again, it's implied that essentially what's going to happen is she's going to perform oral sex with a giraffe tongue. Who the hell is that appealing to? I mean, I'm really curious to know if there's somebody out there who says, "Yep, I saw that and it made me a big Vixen fan. It made me start reading comics, and now I'm invested. Now I never miss an issue, and this is the greatest thing that's happened, and it speaks to me." Let me know, because I don't see that happening to anybody. And at a certain point, DC and Marvel and Image and these companies, they've got to realize they've got to run a business. They've got to meet the expectations of their market. I get it that you want creative people, you want to have the latitude for them to do creative things, but it's still a job. It's still a way of making something that's appealing to the readers, the people who are actually reading the books, instead of constantly trying to, chase this mystical new readership. I don't see that happening, because I've heard the argument that says, well, you need to broaden out the perspective and who this is appealing to, because we need to make sure that we get the next generation of readers. I think that's an industry problem, not necessarily a particular marketing problem within books. What I mean by that is less people reading comics, just overall. The people who continue to read comics are the ones who've been doing it for a long time, and they have their expectations of what they should read and what they should see, the standards of art. You may get 1 to 2% of new readers with this stuff, but you're probably going to drive more people away than you are going to appeal to a new market. And it seems ever since these comic books started really getting more money and having the safety net of, the Warner Brothers or the Disneys, that they've just forgotten that they're a business. I don't think that without that shelter and that safety net, these companies are profitable. I may be wrong. Maybe there's enough merchandising out there of these characters that it keeps them, in the green. Maybe there's enough books that people do read over and over. I don't know, but I mean, I just don't see it. So the point is, there's kind of this old saying that says, know what business you're in. And I'm going to say that that's what these guys have to do. And it's not necessarily what business they're in, but they need to know who their audience is. They need to know who's buying their books. Not people who are commenting, not people who are outraged at things on social media, but who's actually a customer who goes into a comic book shop and purchases these every single week. Just my thoughts. Let me know yours. Thanks.